I have a dream where one day each school board, church committee, policing forum, sports club, community group, NGO, association and political party branch will have as its treasurer a CIBA designated accountant. In my dream, this army of CIBA appointed treasurers will cover Southern Africa as a blanket of green, assisting with rebuilding communities affected by months of lockdowns, state capture and service delivery issues. As treasurers, our army of volunteers will have a big task, motivating and encouraging communities to rebuild, as well as keeping the books, accounting for income and expenses, calculating projections and improving systems and management. But more importantly, if you sign up to our army, you will be able to make friends and influence people. Imagine 10,000 CIBA members servicing 100,000 committees and boards and the influencing power at our disposal. The books of Dale Carnegie, Jordan Peterson and Saul Alinsky will be our field manuals on how volunteer work can lead to dramatic changes in economic and social structures. Often, it is these structures that prevent us from growing our firms or gaining employment, which restricts our ability to put food on the table and care for our families. In my dream, we can influence how these structures are made and used and co-build new ones that truly serve the needs of communities. The Practice Management Conference and Roadshow 2021 is the first step we have to take to follow our shared dream. We have to know how to manage effective firms, as this is essential to living our dream. Listen, learn and network with the presenters and experts, then join us on the National Roadshow as we meet with municipal and business leaders in our hometown, sharing our dream with them and deploying an army of influencers. Let's go forth and multiply.
How CIBA qualified accountants are becoming chief value officers. Traditional accountants focus on historical numbers, but this is so 1980s. Society wants value reporting. Income, expenses, assets, liabilities, as reflected in financial statements, are important. But what about real value, such as community, sustainability, human capital, and reputation? We need a value statement. CIBA is developing accountants to become chief value officers that prepare value statements comparing SME performance to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Chief value officers apply integrated thinking to show value for the SME, its owners, employees, suppliers, and society. The chief value officer starts this process when setting up the bookkeeping system and preparing financial statements. Each expense item is linked to a relevant sustainable development goal and reflected in a value statement as a checklist and progress report on core indicators such as tax contribution, reducing waste and energy, efficiency, buying and employing local, gender empowerment, and enhanced director accountability. To become a chief value officer that prepares value statements requires awareness, training, technology, and reporting software. CIBA retrains CIBA members as chief value officers and partners with DraftWorks to develop automated value statements to supplement traditional financial statements. Our partnership will minimize our own energy footprint and generate generational value as we automate value reporting.
What do our defining moments look like? Just like this moment right now. They look like pride after achieving that long sought-after goal. All the small victories along the way that didn't feel momentous until we saw them in the rearview mirror. They look like the courage it takes to take that first big step. All the times we fail and rise again. and without even knowing it, cultivating an inner strength that is contagious along the way. They look like the inspiration that comes from knowing that we are not alone. They look like the human relationships that give us wisdom beyond what data ever could. They look like the curiosity that comes from exploring, that allow us to create and contribute. They look like education that unlocks our full potential, using our knowledge for impact. They look like choosing our own definition of success, over hiding, over hustling, over pretending. They look like others showing up and recognizing our efforts after all the times we already showed up for ourselves. They look like being bold enough to be extraordinary. They look like you. Right now, right here. First, we help you see your defining moments. Then we help you seize them. We are the accounting body for everyone. We are the accounting body for you.
I have a dream where one day each school board, church committee, policing forum, sports club, community group, NGO, association and political party branch will have as its treasurer a CIBA designated accountant. In my dream, this army of CIBA appointed treasurers will cover Southern Africa as a blanket of green, assisting with rebuilding communities affected by months of lockdowns, state capture and service delivery issues. As treasurers, our army of volunteers will have a big task, motivating and encouraging communities to rebuild, as well as keeping the books, accounting for income and expenses, calculating projections and improving systems and management. But more importantly, if you sign up to our army, you will be able to make friends and influence people. Imagine 10,000 CIBA members servicing 100,000 committees and boards and the influencing power at our disposal. The books of Dale Carnegie, Jordan Peterson and Saul Alinsky will be our field manuals on how volunteer work can lead to dramatic changes in economic and social structures. Often, it is these structures that prevent us from growing our firms or gaining employment, which restricts our ability to put food on the table and care for our families. In my dream, we can influence how these structures are made and used and co-build new ones that truly serve the needs of communities. The Practice Management Conference and Roadshow 2021 is the first step we have to take to follow our shared dream. We have to know how to manage effective firms, as this is essential to living our dream. Listen, learn and network with the presenters and experts, then join us on the National Roadshow as we meet with municipal and business leaders in our hometown, sharing our dream with them and deploying an army of influencers. Let's go forth and multiply.
How CIBA qualified accountants are becoming chief value officers. Traditional accountants focus on historical numbers, but this is so 1980s. Society wants value reporting. Income, expenses, assets, liabilities, as reflected in financial statements, are important. But what about real value, such as community, sustainability, human capital, and reputation? We need a value statement. CIBA is developing accountants to become chief value officers that prepare value statements comparing SME performance to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Chief value officers apply integrated thinking to show value for the SME, its owners, employees, suppliers, and society. The chief value officer starts this process when setting up the bookkeeping system and preparing financial statements. Each expense item is linked to a relevant sustainable development goal and reflected in a value statement as a checklist and progress report on core indicators such as tax contribution, reducing waste and energy, efficiency, buying and employing local, gender empowerment, and enhanced director accountability. To become a Chief Value Officer that prepares value statements requires awareness, training, technology, and reporting software. CIBA retrains CIBA members as Chief Value Officers and partners with DraftWorks to develop automated value statements to supplement traditional financial statements. Our partnership will minimize our own energy footprint and generate generational value as we automate value reporting.
What do our defining moments look like? Just like this moment right now. They look like pride after achieving that long sought-after goal. All the small victories along the way that didn't feel momentous until we saw them in the rearview mirror. They look like the courage it takes to take that first big step. All the times we fail and rise again. And without even knowing it, cultivating an inner strength that is contagious along the way. They look like the inspiration that comes from knowing that we are not alone. They look like the human relationships that give us wisdom beyond what data ever could. They look like the curiosity that comes from exploring, that allow us to create and contribute. They look like education that unlocks our full potential, using our knowledge for impact. They look like choosing our own definition of success, over hiding, over hustling, over pretending. They look like others showing up and recognizing our efforts after all the times we already showed up for ourselves. They look like being bold enough to be extraordinary. They look like you. Right now, right here. First, we help you see your defining moments. Then we help you seize them. We are the accounting body for everyone. We are the accounting body for you.
Mazars is a leading international audit, tax and advisory firm aspiring to build the economic foundations of a fair and prosperous world. Founded in Europe, we are now present in over 90 countries and territories, with more than 42,000 professionals, over 26,000 in our integrated partnership and 16,000 via the Mazars North America Alliance, dedicated to helping clients make the most of business opportunities and operate with confidence. With teams based all over the world, we combine deep local knowledge and understanding with a global perspective. Operating as a united partnership with shared goals, values and service standards, we work as one team, delivering a rewarding experience and consistent quality across a broad range of services. We have the skills and the scale to serve clients of all sizes across all sectors, while remaining flexible, personal, and distinct in our approach. Every piece of work is treated with integrity, independence, accountability, and a social conscience. By combining quality, expertise, agility, and understanding, we provide answers and experiences that are right for our people, clients, and society.
How CIBA qualified accountants are becoming Chief Value Officers. Traditional accountants focus on historical numbers, but this is so 1980s. Society wants value reporting. Income, expenses, assets, liabilities, as reflected in financial statements, are important. But what about real value, such as community, sustainability, human capital, and reputation? We need a value statement. CIBA is developing accountants to become Chief Value Officers that prepare value statements comparing SME performance to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Chief Value Officers apply integrated thinking to show value for the SME, its owners, employees, suppliers, and society. The Chief Value Officer starts this process when setting up the bookkeeping system and preparing financial statements. Each expense item is linked to a relevant sustainable development goal and reflected in a value statement as a checklist and progress report on core indicators such as tax contribution, reducing waste and energy, efficiency, buying and employing local, gender empowerment, and enhanced director accountability. To become a Chief Value Officer that prepares value statements requires awareness, training, technology, and reporting software. CIBA retrains CIBA members as Chief Value Officers and partners with DraftWorks to develop automated value statements to supplement traditional financial statements. Our partnership will minimize our own energy footprint and generate generational value as we automate value reporting.
I have a dream where one day each school board, church committee, policing forum, sports club, community group, NGO, association, and political party branch will have as its treasurer a CIBA designated accountant. In my dream, this army of CIBA appointed treasurers will cover Southern Africa as a blanket of green, assisting with rebuilding communities affected by months of lockdowns, state capture, and service delivery issues. As treasurers, our army of volunteers will have a big task, motivating and encouraging communities to rebuild, as well as keeping the books, accounting for income and expenses, calculating projections, and improving systems and management. But more importantly, if you sign up to our army, you will be able to make friends and influence people. Imagine 10,000 CIBA members servicing 100,000 committees and boards and the influencing power at our disposal. The books of Dale Carnegie, Jordan Peterson, and Saul Alinsky will be our field manuals on how volunteer work can lead to dramatic changes in economic and social structures. Often, it is these structures that prevent us from growing our firms or gaining employment, which restricts our ability to put food on the table and care for our families. In my dream, we can influence how these structures are made and used and co-build new ones that truly serve the needs of communities. The Practice Management Conference and Roadshow 2021 is the first step we have to take to follow our shared dream. We have to know how to manage effective firms, as this is essential to living our dream. Listen, learn, and network with the presenters and experts, then join us on the National Roadshow as we meet with municipal and business leaders in our hometown, sharing our dream with them and deploying an army of influencers. Let's go forth and multiply. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining our event. We've got quite a number of participants. Thanks everybody for taking the time. And also welcome to Galome for joining us from Mazars. It's such an exciting event in the life of CIBA and an amazing opportunity for all members. So let's give a few more minutes for everybody to sign up and join. And I'm just going to ask the host to load the slides, and then we can start with our presentation. Oh, there we go. And let me just see how I can take control. I see we're still adding a lot of participants. We're already on 190, 191. So let's give a few more minutes for everybody to join, and then we'll officially start.
No, just Nick, just from my side as well. Yeah, welcome to everybody. I see our numbers are still increasing, so we're very excited to co-host this event with you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next hour and so of sharing information.
Thank you very much, Delome. And then let's start with, well, I see we're already on 209, so it's picking up tremendously. We have a chat section, so if you want to comment or share views, you can just click on chat, and then you can add your comments. So, or you can, we'll try and make it interactive. At the end of our presentations, you can also raise your hand, and then the host, Wesley, he's kindly assisting us from CIBA, will be able to open that up and we can start a nice chat. So let's then start with our introduction from CIBA side. It's about practice support. Now, practice support is a quite a nice add-on that we've recently extended on the CIBA website. So if you Google CIBA practice support, there's quite a range of services that you as members can provide to clients. And what we did was to create a nice list of these support functions. Some of them are regulated services like independent review, accounting officer, or business rescue. Others are services that you can offer your clients because you are a member of CIBA and an accountant. And we structured it very nicely, so in a list, and then provide an overview of each of the services, and then also discuss how you can market and promote those services to your clients. So please do yourself a favor, take some effort, and then go to CIBA practice support. Besides giving an overview of each of those service lines, we also provide a practice support library. So if you read about the practice support service area and want to know the underlying legislation that describes or prescribes that particular service, we've included a practice support library. So there's about more than 30 service lines that you can offer clients to really expand your practice. As a member of CIBA, it's so much more than just being a bookkeeper or an accountant or an accounting officer. There's an amazing range of things that you can offer clients. And we've tried to structure them within, and they're not even complete. We're adding like monthly new service lines. Now, one of them is our strategic alliance with Mazars. And how this came about was we initially had a few years ago, just before the lockdown, let's say 2018-19, we engaged with the Department of Education on the financial reporting and external reports for schools. And in around about 2017, there was a report issued on schools and the sorry state of affairs with the financial statements of schools. There was a lot of financial mismanagement at the school level, and the Gauteng Education Department wanted to make sure that they address this issue, because they have to report to Parliament, and it's always a finding that the AGA-SA does with schools. So what they did was they had to consider a few options. How do you strengthen the financial management of schools? So one of the things that government officials then quite often do is they have a fallback into auditing. So there's a certain situation, schools are mismanaged, there's a crisis because money is getting lost, and then there's pressure from Parliament and the minister to address the situation. And then very often there's an overreach by the department. So instead of, as we propose, that they should strengthen the internal controls of the schools, or identify the risk areas that the accounting officer could go and consider and report on, what they then very often do is they fall back into auditing, the external audit. And that is what the Gauteng Education Department then did. So quite a number of our members that used to provide accounting officer services to schools was suddenly left without a client because of a notice that the department issued. So the question then came to CIBA, how are we supporting members? So we then have a few options. We can either make a submission or continue with the submissions to Parliament and to the department. We can take a harsher approach and issue a legal letter. The third alternative, which we then decided is much better, is if we partner with a very well-known national, international auditing firm. If you consider auditing as a specialist area, it's not something that anyone should attempt. It's very regulated by the IRBA and for good reason. There's a lot of studying and a lot of technical knowledge and background needed in auditing. So we had to consider, do we develop that auditing skill with members? Do we apply with the IRBA to become an auditing body? So there's a whole bunch of things that we need to consider prior to addressing this issue, as I explained with schools. And you can imagine then the implications. If your firm wanted to become an auditing firm, then CIBA would need to register with the IRBA. You would need to employ quality management procedures. You need to appoint specialist staff, start maintaining an whole office. And then once you've done all of that, now suddenly you have to compete with well-established firms already providing this level of service. So then we decided, but there has to be a better way of assisting members, and we came up with the idea of strategic alliances. It is something that is also been addressed. It's something that I researched many years ago. I think when I still was doing my MBA, I did my research paper on small accounting firms and how they engage with their clients. And what I saw there was this amazing relationship that a small firm that the small firms have with their clients, and it's very intimate. They work on a daily basis with their clients, but what is lacking in a small firm is resources, because very often it's like 1 or 2 or 3 persons working together, providing an amazing service for clients, but there's a limited access to resources and technical know-how. It's just impossible to add all the services. And it's also something when I practiced many years ago, saw and experienced myself. I once had I think I had to do an estate set of financials for the executive of the estate. And that's this little specialist area within our profession. So I did a lot of research and studying and equipped myself with new knowledge to deliver this perfect set of financials and assist with finalizing the estate. But then afterwards, I could only issue an invoice of a small amount. And then I calculated the numbers of hours I had to train myself into the specialist area. And then I saw that I made a huge loss. So it would only make sense if I could add additional clients for this additional training that I did, but I didn't find that many clients because I wasn't specializing in estates. And that's when I realized that maybe a better option is, again, strategic alliances. So that's what we then did. We reached out to a few firms and then decided with Mazars because of their international standing, their reach and breadth and depth within the South African context, and also their own, I think, unique relationship that they have with smaller firms. So they clearly understood what we wanted, and they understand the struggles and challenges that smaller firms go through. And then I started to engage with Galome, and that took us through a range of a big process. It took a while to iron out our processes and what the format of the strategic alliance should be. And we had good engagement with the co-CEOs of Mazars, and it went through all the processes. And finally, we're here today to announce the strategic alliance with you, the members. So that, in short, is the introduction that I wanted to give. Let me now give an opportunity for Belome also to briefly give his background and information, and then we'll start with some more detail about the alliance. Over to you, Belome.
Thank you, Nick. Can you hear me?
I can hear you very clearly.
Yeah, great. No, thank you very much. That was a good introduction and a very accurate summary of the process up to now. I mean, we are certainly very excited. Just a bit of my personal background, and we'll show you a video too, and give you a bit more background about Mazars, and then we'll go into the strategic alliance agreement for today, because that's the purpose of today, is explaining to you what this will be and how it will work. But just a bit of a personal background is I am currently I'm managing partner of Mazars Central. Mazars is divided into 6 areas in South Africa, and I'm in the central part of South Africa, but I'm sitting on the National Governing Council of Mazars, and I'm also part of the National Managing Partners Forum of Mazars. So and it's at that level that we did this. But also from a personal experience point of view, I used to be with the previous firm as well, and I was alone for a long time. So I do have, and I practiced in a smaller area for a long time as well. So I've got, I think I've got a good feeling and ability and knowledge of how a small firm with limited resources works. And when I joined a local regional firm, Enslands, in 1996, 1997, I joined them for this exact same reason, is that I was running, staff would ask me what happens to me if something happens to, what happens to them if something happens to me. Clients were asking me what happens to them if something happens to me. I was running out of capacity, I was running out of knowledge base, I was running out of expertise and the ability to service clients the way I always felt I would like to be involved with clients and service with clients. But yeah, the power of has always been in the relationship. It's very important, and I think that's where you as CIBA members have got the edge, in the sense that you are working in a very personal way with your clients, and that's actually what's intriguing to us. Is that to build that. Just to give you an example, my single biggest client at the moment, after 30 years in practice, is a guy who's now got 41 companies in his group, but who came to me as an individual taxpayer, asking me to do his personal income tax return. Then he said, but he's going to become involved in this business now, and then after about 2 years, we got that business. And from that business, that guy actually lived at the back of his shop for a year, him and his wife. That's how he started. Today, it's a big conglomerate, he's a few 100 million strong. So you never know which of your clients will go from an individual tax return to a mega client. And that's why I'm always cautious to refer to small clients, because you never know when a small client will become a big client, or when a big client even becomes a smaller client. So never underestimate any opportunity that comes your way. We are there with CIBA now to help you explore those opportunities. We are not there to take over your relationships with your clients. I think that must be very clear, is that is not our purpose. Yeah, it might mean at a stage that a client outgrows you, but the power should be staying in the relationship. So the intention of this alliance is not to get clients from CIBA. That is not the effect is the purpose of this whole alliance agreement is to help CIBA members grow their clients with our knowledge, with our expertise, with our ability to give guidance, etc. And naturally, it must be a win-win. There must be something in it for us. There must be something in it for CIBA members. So that is from a pure business point of view. And the second thing that comes from that is part of our commitment towards this whole process is also in helping to develop the CIBA members in the way that they think about things. And I mean, we've experienced it just from the PMC in September. There's been a lot. We've had over 40 inquiries already. And we are starting to build relations already with some CIBA members. And that's really the intention is to be like a bit of a big daddy or for you, but not in the way of that you work for us or that we work for you, but that we work together. And I think that to me is the main purpose of this. So that's just the background of it. I think there's two very clear areas. The schools project we will definitely look at next year. And just to add on to what Nick said, is that the way we also presented it or discussed it with CIBA is to say, let us not get into the auditing side of it, because let's get the CIBA members what they can do. They can have the relationship with the schools. They can be there at the schools, and we can have an oversight function so that we get audits better audit prepared, that we get schools better audit prepared. So that let's concentrate on the accounting side of it, so that we get schools to get proper records, to have their documentation, financial statements and files better for audit. And then somebody else, the AG, whoever can then physically do the audit. It's anyway financially, and I can promise you that, far more rewarding and less risky to be on the accounting side than maybe in this case specifically on the auditing side, until we've brought up the schools up to a level where they're actually auditable. And I think that is where the department, Nick's discussions with the departments came on this. There's so many schools that's not even auditable. And they just keep on getting qualified audit reports every year. And we want to be part of that process with the CIBA members to change that and to get schools to comply with the Schools Act and to get their financial records up to date and get them accountable so that they can actually get clean audit reports. Nick, I don't know if you want to mention anything about that. Otherwise, we can go forward. I think Wesley has got our video, but maybe you could just comment on that if you want to.
Yeah, I think it's exactly like you said. I think it's a partnership, and we'll explain more when we do the slides. It's also on the website. If you guys go to CIBA Practice Support, Strategic Alliance or Advisory Services, you'll find the detail on the website. But I think the key point that we need to take out from just now is it's a partnership relationship. There's certain things that your firm cannot do, and then it's nice having access to this bigger resource. And we, in the memorandum of understanding that we signed with Mazars, it's clear that the client remains yours. You maintain the relationship, but you have access to these services. So it's not your firm now working for Mazars. It's not Mazars working for you. It's not a network firm that's being created. It's how do you access these additional resources so that whatever the type of or level of service, you never have to say no. You can say yes. CIBA has a strategic alliance with Mazars, and this is the way I can deliver the work for you. So, Guillaume, let's then go to your video. Wes can just load it for us. So it's an overview of Mazars.
Mazars is a leading international audit, tax and advisory firm aspiring to build the economic foundations of a fair and prosperous world. Founded in Europe, we are now present in over 90 countries and territories, with more than 42,000 professionals, over 26,000 in our integrated partnership, and 16,000 via the Mazars North America Alliance, dedicated to helping clients make the most of business opportunities and operate with confidence. With teams based all over the world, we combine deep local knowledge and understanding with a global perspective. Operating as a united partnership with shared goals, values and service standards, we work as one team, delivering a rewarding experience and consistent quality across a broad range of services. We have the skills and the scale to serve clients of all sizes across all sectors, while remaining flexible, personal and distinct in our approach. Every piece of work is treated with integrity, independence, accountability and a social conscience. By combining quality, expertise, agility and understanding, we provide answers and experiences that are right for our people, clients and society.
All right, so that's an amazing video. It makes you kind of feel proud that we have the strategic alliance with a firm of that scale and size. So let's then move on to a few slides that we're going to discuss in detail about what is a strategic alliance and how do you engage Mazars. And then after that, we Guillaume can continue and add more information and clarity, and then we can open it up for a Q&A. So a strategic alliance is a very specific word that we chose to ensure that whoever sees this relationship does not confuse it with a network firm or an auditing firm or a professional association. So that's very important to know for CIBA members. This is a support system that for your firm, that you don't have to go and look for an auditing firm. CIBA has these WhatsApp groups, and very often members post requesting support, and then they say, who can help me with this, who can do this for me? But now we've formalized it through a particular process. So just to make sure that it's a strategic alliance where a independent firm, Mazars, is now aware of CIBA members, have signed an agreement with CIBA, and has now a process by which CIBA members can access them. So we'll go through that process, but contact is made and support is provided. And then the two firms decide how they want to cooperate with this client. And we'll discuss the various options. So it's not a network firm. You're not associated with Mazars. Both firms remain independent, but there's a relationship with CIBA oversight in the form of a strategic alliance. Next slide. So this is the area that we're moving into is called advisory services. It's a very wide range of services. It's different from your normal accounting services that you provide. Typically, a client arrives at your door and they request for you to set up their bookkeeping system. You maintain that system, capture the invoices, capture the bank statements, prepare the trial balance, assist interpreting it with the client, obtaining additional information, making adjusting journals, presenting a set of financials, and then when the time is due, you assist the client with filing his tax returns, if you're a licensed tax practitioner with CIBA, of course, filing the IT-12, filing the IT-14. And sometimes some companies also require independent review engagements. So that is the accounting cycle. But I think the part that was missing, and where possibly there's more margin, more revenue percentage that CIBA members should be able to access, and that is what we call advisory services. But they're very tricky because it requires a specific kind of specialization, a specific kind of knowledge base that's very expensive to obtain. And even if you obtain that knowledge, now you have to go and look for the clients. So how do we then access or make available to CIBA members these advisory firms without them having to install or implement systems, employ staff, go on additional study and learning? And that is through the strategic alliance. So I think the best example I can provide is going back to my own experience. I could either be interested in taking 100% of the fee of one client and then maybe wait another 3 or 4 years for a next such opportunity. So which in effect would dilute that 100% revenue that I generated from that one client. What maybe be a better option, especially these days with technology changes, regulation changes, is to maybe take a smaller percentage of advisory revenue. So set up your practice to do your basic accounting cycle work like you used to do, your bread and butter work. But now it's possible to add, let's say, if you get 5 new advisory clients, you take 10 or 20% of that. And that if you have the 5 clients, or let's say 10% of 10 clients, or 5% of 20, you get to 100%. But not at all with the same risks or effort or investment in your own time. So you all have to think differently about how you approach this. Obviously, because there's a second firm involved, there's certain things that you would not be able to charge for, and there won't be a revenue share in this because it's different projects that's being delivered, possibly different invoices that are being delivered to the client. But how you position yourself is you are the project leader. So on your website, you can now add, for example, a lot of new services by saying, yes, we do these normal things, but we can also provide access to these advisory services. You might meet a client as you move about and live your life. Clients come from all over, and then you don't have to say no. You can play golf. There might be a big client busy with a merger or acquisition, busy with a very complex BE transaction, and then you can say, but let my firm and Mazars assist you, and then you have access to that. Then afterwards, it becomes a matter of how do you structure this relationship, how do you differentiate and contract differently. And what I also think is you have the relationship, and that never changes. So it's also not a passive form of income in the sense that you just find the client and pass them over to Mazars. I think the whole intention is for you to be intimately involved with your client, understand their needs, have a broad understanding of the various advisory services being offered by Mazars, and having that initial discussion, and then managing the relationship, because then this gives you so much more scope. So that is advisory services and advisory firms. And again, if you go to our website, CIBA, and Google CIBA practice support or CIBA assurance services, you'll just see how the range of services that's available to you now via this relationship. So let's go to the next slide. So there's the value of working with other firms. It gives you access to resources and a wider client reach. Another example when we drafted the notice for this event, I did some research and I found a whole bunch of government websites indicating the availability of tenders. And then I saw big corporates looking for either internal controls or new systems being set up or internal audit services. There's a range of these things, and you will even know that better than me. So now it gives you access to all those clients. So the strategic alliance offer a solution to this problem, as they offer you with the ability to provide a wide range of services to your clients. For all firms, alliances are a way to leverage your existing client base expand through controlled growth, and provide ways to provide additional services. So it's even in your own client base. That's also a good starting point. And maybe they just know you as the person doing their taxes or preparing their financials or keeping the books. So you can change that now. Go and explain to them this new relationship and see where are they currently allocating their existing services. And then there's a source of cross referrals, and you can grow your size and quality and profitability while staying focused on what you do best. And I think that is very important in this relationship. There's going to be another slide explaining this. Obviously, you will have to go back to the drawing board, especially this time of year. When you relook at your strategic plan, operational plan, go and identify which area is it that you want to focus on and what areas do you want to make part of the bigger Mazars relationship. The next slide. So this is just typical aligned structures, and this is just an extract from our website. There's different ways that you can engage with Mazars. So you might find a client and then hand over the complete job to Mazars, but maintaining the relationship. You can decide that you want to do certain elements of the function. So there's different ways in which you can engage with clients. But the starting point obviously is when you find this opportunity, you go to the CIBA website, you register for the service, and you then make a brief background and description of what your needs are. And then thereafter, there will be an engagement with Mazars. So the next slide. So some key reminders about strategic alliances. They can benefit from firms of all sizes working together in the same area. A strategic alliance is a long-term relationship bringing together firms that have different focuses. So the idea isn't obviously that Mazars will take over your client. It's just not. That's why CIBA is involved, acting as a mediator. But as you heard from Guillaume, he understands small businesses. He ran his own practice for many years, and there's practical difficulties. So it's an ability just to expand your own footprint. Next slide. All right, and then this is just the different structures. We are working here in the upstream alliance, where you find the client and then you work with Mazars in providing services to that client. So, and it's not a downstream alliance. So the intention is not directly for Mazars to hand you work. That is not our strategic alliance. The alliance is an upstream alliance. You are the smaller firm. You have a niche area, niche type of clients, and you now have access to services, usually the domain or the privilege of bigger firms to be able to provide. So we're looking at an upstream alliance. The next slide. So when you start engaging with Mazars and there is some work on your part, remember, it's important that you own the mind space of the client. That is so in any case, if you go into a strategic alliance or not, a client remains with you if you are top of mind with the client. So that must remain your primary function and duty. But when you decide to engage with Mazars through the website portal, you log your inquiry and you start a conversation. These are the issues that you would have to identify yourself. So CIBA cannot get involved in you having in the contractual arrangement between you, the client, and Mazars, because the scenario is too complex and each scenario would be unique. We can only provide these guidelines as I highlighted it for you. So just 3 issues that need to be clarified up front: the role of CIBA and the small firm and our alliance partner, which in this case is Mazars. So we have the oversight function, and if in case of dispute, that will come in promoting to the broader economy and companies. This is relationship. This is what we'll be doing. But once you start engaging with Mazars, you will have to set their own contract requirements. For example, communications, clients relations, dispute resolution, issues of non-compete, solicitation of employees, billing, the individual projects, and the statutory compliance and ethical obligations. So those contract details are for you to establish with Mazars. We cannot get involved in those individual matters because it's a B2B relationship. We're more in an oversight role and facilitation role. Next slide. So this is our role. So we define the parameters of the strategic alliance. We draft and monitor the implementation of the memorandum of agreement between the firms. We monitor the implementation. We obviously want your feedback quite regularly, and we'll also be in contact with Mazars. So our members will give us feedback, Mazars will give us feedback, and then we hone and streamline the process. It will be and must be a compliant and ethical relationship. So you are obligated to follow CIBA's code of conduct as required and imposed on us by SAQA and the CIPC and all the different regulators involved in the profession. Mazars is themselves subject to the IRBA. So it's common knowledge, and everybody knows that you obviously cannot present yourself in a way that creates the impression that you can do skills that you can't. For example, CIBA is not registered with the IRBA, so none of our members can call themselves external auditors, and this relationship does not change that. So there's certain compliance issues that you're aware of, and it should be carefully implemented. Remember, this is a very privileged relationship that we now have with Mazars, and it's very important that when you draft your letterheads or your business cards or your website or your brochures, that you present this relationship in the correct legal format. So our members aren't now suddenly auditors because of the relationship. That can never be, because there's underlying criteria that we have to meet. It provides access to a bigger partner, and that must just be clearly maintained. So as I said, Mazars will inform us about the relationships and how it's progressing. We'll monitor, review, have sessions like this, improve, expand. So that is our role. It's oversight and dispute resolution. Next slide. So getting started, this is very important. You have to do this. Remember, nothing in life is a quick fix, and this relationship is also not a quick fix. You remain the project manager, you remain the relationship manager, you own the client's headspace, and then for your own firm, you conduct an analysis of your firm. What are the areas you want to focus on? What are the areas you can share with a bigger partner? Define your goals and objectives of your firm. So you still do your SWOT analysis. It's much better if you do your homework, obviously, before you engage with Mazars, identifying the areas and doing a study of the sector and the client that you're going to engage with, your own firm's strengths and weaknesses, and then decide how you will, and if you will be able to benefit from Mazars. So don't leave it until you've now logged your service request and now start the conversation with Colombe and his team, and then trying to figure it out. And do your homework, figure it out yourself. These are strategic matters that's always relevant in any business. So you might decide, listen, I have a certain access to municipalities, or I have access to state-owned entities, or I have access to lenders or funders. How will I now be able to unlock this bigger relationship within that particular and specific area? So do your planning, do your strategic planning, draft your operational plan, and then you start engaging with Mazars. Next slide. All right, this is just the process that we followed in appointing Mazars. So we came up with the concept, we distributed to a number of firms, and then obviously we work with the firm that wants to work with us. And Mazars very early on indicated that they understand CIBA, they understand smaller firms. even if you consider Mazars and their whole history on how they started, there's a very strong relationship and understanding of the smaller sector. So we're very happy to work with Mazars Central. They have many small clients of their own. And as Guillaume said, you never talk about it as if it's a small client, because they expand and they grow. And that is why we selected Mazars and are very privileged to be able to work with them. Next slide. All right, so we recommend that you start small, bring an advisory firm in on a special project or perhaps just on a single tax issue. This will establish the tone for how future engagements will evolve. The best of marriages begin with a courtship. And this is the case as well. So you're building a relationship with Mazars. We are all three parties will over time become better and more effective in how we engage. So before you contact Mazars, know that what you want and what you're going to request from them. Obviously, you cannot expect Mazars to resolve your issues for you. It's not a technical support function. It's a relationship between two independent professional firms. So yeah, maintain that relationship. It's a new relationship. So when you contact them and phone them, be professional, be upfront, transparent, and then ask advice on how how your relationship with the client can best be explored for mutual benefit. So think of yourself as the end client and screen them as you would any other professional. So we're not forcing you to use Mazars services. This is a voluntary engagement that you have with them, and you can decide, do I want to work with Mazars on this client? We have now opened up the communication line between the two firms, and now communication can flow and services can be explored. So make sure that it's a goal informing the alliance are in sync with yours. So because you're going to work so closely together, be sensitive on how the relationship is managed. Make sure that you comply with all regulatory and act and law and standard requirements on how you present yourself, and make sure that the client also knows upfront about this relationship. I think the mistake many people make is they think that if they share information with bigger firms, they're going to lose the client. But it's exactly the opposite. If your clients see that you are in a strategic alliance via CIBA with this bigger firm, they think more of you. And it's unlikely that they will go away, because what's the reason? They're looking for somebody that can provide them solutions. They're looking for a project manager to guide their whole business, not only the bookkeeping. And this is what Mazars is now facilitating for you. The next slide. All right, so typical services, and we'll obviously expand this list that Mazars Central can provide for you. Accounting services, payroll services, assurance services, including audit, independent reviews, agreed upon procedures, oversight and quality reviews on accounting, preparation of financial statements, especially at a more complex and higher level, preparation of financial statements and files on audits of schools, general business consulting and guidance, tax services, especially the more complex areas, consulting services on business plans, financial planning and structuring, and optimizing businesses, estate planning and administration. So these are just a short list of the services that are now available to you. We would like to start with schools. I think that is a big burning issue. First of all, we need to improve the financial management of schools. We want to make sure that you don't lose any school clients. And now with this relationship, this is now possible that the client remains yours, but they get this amazing service from a bigger firm. It is also more likely that they want to work with you. I think the biggest, you can just imagine a school board meeting that has to decide on next year's audit. And you know as well as I that competitors are always swimming around wanting to take away your clients. And the easiest way of doing that is to inform the potential client, in this case, the school governing body, is that, but your current provider is a small firm with no real resources or infrastructure, and that creates doubt. So now you have this bigger partner that takes that whole threat away. Next slide. All right, that is just the normal cyber contact details. I can also just share with you now the process that we want to follow. I'm just going to ask Wes to whether that is available, and I can just quickly take you through the detailed process of how to access the service. And after I've done that, I'll be handing over back to Loam to also more comprehensively address the approach from Mazars. I hope everybody can see that screen. Mine is a little bit blurry. Yeah, let's open it up. Oh, there we go. So this is, again, the key projects that we want to focus on. First of all, the schools in all provinces. Remember, Mazars is national, so there's no reason to limit yourself. You can provide services anywhere. There's advisory services like business valuations, due diligence, feasibility studies, business plans, deal structuring. Now those are highly complex things. Yes, there's big margins and big revenue, but and how do you access those? There's also big risks. So that's areas that I think Mazars would be perfect to partner with. There's obviously the audit and assurance. That's again highly regulated. But I think the worst thing that I experienced in my short career as accountant in practice was when I met a new client. I once nearly got a new client. It was the architectural firm that set up and designed the Sasol fuel stations. So it was a big client for me. And I went through all the phases of negotiation, but then right at the end, when we just had to sign the agreement, the person asked, but are you qualified as auditors? And obviously I'm not. And then I left. I couldn't maintain that client. So if I had the strategic alliance back then, I might not have joined CIBA as a CE. I might still have been practicing. So I think anything can happen with this new relationship. Let's scroll a little bit down to number 4. There's consulting services. This is also number 5, is something that Mazars has offered the CIBA member, and that's training services. So Mazars has obviously years and years of experience in many areas, and we want to cooperate and work with them. And part of our strategic alliance agreement was that, and this was an initiative proposed by Mazars themselves, that there should be a skills transfer. So in addition to Mazars providing you with these services, what they also provide is, and are committed to, is making sure that over a number of months or years, your skills will be expanded. So at some point, by participating in the strategic alliance, you might develop your specialist skills in a particular area, and then decide that now you are capable of providing that service to clients. So I think that's an amazing offer, and I want to thank Mazars for that, a skills transfer process. So let's go to the important bit about the operational procedures. So if you want to access the service, you would log into your member profile at ciba.org.za. There's a certain confirmation and declaration that you will then confirm and adhere to. Then you would also accept the engagement protocols. There's going to be a reminder that it's not a technical support function, because the technical support from CIBA primarily comes from our CPD, and then our technical query system. So that's a different matter. So it's not for technical queries. And then also Mazars is not obligated to accept the request that you provide to them. Remember, they're an independent firm. They have their own risk profile. So they might say, this is not for us. And that's why there should be this engagement. It's a transparent process. with guidance on various alternatives available. And Mazars and CIBA may also discuss the options available, and feedback will be provided to a member. So Mazars transparency means that obviously not the client details, but more the concepts and processes. Mazars can contact CIBA, phone myself or one of our managers, and request more clarity on a member or just adjusting the processes. So it's an open and transparent process. Let's scroll down a little bit more. So information will be shared between the parties, because remember, it's a strategic alliance between CIBA, the member, as well as Mazars. And CIBA is an active party monitoring the situation. So we do get information that Mazars shares with us and that you can share with us when you negotiate or discuss with Mazars. So do not contact Mazars directly, only use the email or contact form provided. So the idea, just to make things orderly and controlled, you can't phone just any Mazars office and then say, but they must know about the strategic alliance. Remember, Mazars is a very big firm internationally, so that's why it has to be a very clear access protocol to ensure you get the best support. So just make sure you follow this single entry point, otherwise something might get lost, or a firm might not know why you're contacting them, and then it just causes confusion. So how does CIBA members display the Mazars relationship? So we'll soon provide example copies of how to display on your website, what paragraphs to include in proposals that you want to make. Remember, there's legal requirements, so we will have to adhere to this very strictly. It's not a network firm. You're not representing Mazars in any way. You have access to these services that you transparently explain to your clients. And there's then the contact, number 2. Let's just go a little bit more down. So we'll provide contact details and request for support. Remember, share as much as possible on the proposal. It doesn't really help saying, I've got a client in agriculture, can you help? So you have to, the more detail you share, you don't have to share private detail, but you can share the concept of what you want to engage on. The more you share, the better. As we said, there will be this email address being provided that you can use. All requests should be sent via the central email address. Work to be done, timelines, proposed solutions, and whether you should Mazars also meet with the client or help draft the proposal. So make sure you explain all of that. The discussion of proposals and work methods, Mazars will contact CIBA member to determine the terms of the engagement, and then your negotiation starts. And remember, it's a negotiation. You guys must determine amongst yourselves. CIBA can't get involved in the terms of the engagement, the hours to be spent, how the client will be invoiced, 2 invoices or 1 invoice, yeah, so that is where it's a B2B relationship. CIBA can't start assist in that regard in any way. It's something that you will have to determine with Mazars. So that, in short, is the process. And now let's hand over to Guillaume, and he can further elaborate. Back to you, Guillaume.
Thanks, Nick. I think that was quite complete. I've seen there's a few questions that I've answered 2 of them quickly already, but maybe just adding onto this to make it very practical for members is that from a Mazars point of view, we have to coordinate this due to various reasons. One is, so we as Mazars Central got the authority or the job, or let's call it from Mazars National, to run with this project. So that's why everybody, all the top management in South Africa knows about the alliance, because it was approved there. It was approved at the Governance Council and signed off by the EXCO. But As a point of entry, Nick has really summarized it well. We have been, and we will after this, Nick sent your office the details. We have set up a specific email address. So at the moment, there's a members interest form. They will forward it to that new email address, which is a dedicated one. At the moment, it's my address, but that will be there. That will be then picked up by somebody specific in our office. And we have dedicated an administrative person, and that person will forward it to a specific dedicated person in our office, Palesa, who is also part of this call. And she from there will discuss it with me or with Peter, who is our legal guy, and to decide where that goes if she can't handle it herself. So that is, for example, we got a query on corporate finance the day before yesterday from one of the members. So they would complete the members interest form. It will come out. We will send an email back and say, okay, you've expressed interest. How can we help you? Then they'll come back to us, and from there we will manage and coordinate the process. The reason why we want to do it like this, that everybody can't just talk to any of the Mazars offices countrywide, is between me and CIBA, or us and CIBA, being Nick specifically, personally, we have to get a way of monitoring the success of this process and also work with changes and fine-tuning this very new alliance. So it's very important to us. So we keep tabs of everybody that links up to us. We follow up with them to come back. Some don't reply, some come back to us. But once you're into the system, then that relationship becomes directly. So, for example, is that I forwarded the corporate finance request to our national corporate finance team, who's sitting in Johannesburg and Cape Town, because it's a very specialized area. And the partner there also has already informed me that he will be in direct contact with that member on the corporate finance. But I've also I said to him, he must keep me informed, because I want to, on my monthly report back on the project to CIBA and to Nick and his team, I want to know exactly what has happened. So because we have to have a bit of statistics to work from, what type of services do we need, what actually came about from them, what changed into fees, what can we change to improve that, what are the possible barriers, what are the challenges, and all those things. So that's why it's very important that it's a very structured approach in that way. But once we, for example, we're busy with somebody in Cape Town as well, is that we after you're into the system, it becomes a direct contact. So we communicate direct with the CIBA member, and even then afterwards maybe with the client. But the whole intention is that it's not a handover, it's a partnership. So it's an alliance. So we would now get this. This was, for example, a SARS challenge that this lady has, and we would say, okay, so I'll put them in charge, in contact with our tax department, and now our tax department and her are dealing directly with each other and saying, trying to sort out this client's profiles, trying to sort out the thing, and we follow our normal take-on procedures for clients. There will be a quote issued, and it will be decided who's issuing the quote. Is it going to be from us to that client, or is it from us to the CIBA member? Is the CIBA, who's the contacting party? So that's all part of this. We really want to deliver a high-level professional service to, but a relevant service as well to the specific client. So we are very conscious of fees, etc. And that's why one of the reasons why we as Mazars Central, who's practicing in a more, let's call it, smaller areas, so we are far more conscious of fees and stuff like that, compared maybe to the bigger offices in Johannesburg, Cape Town, Port Elizabeth, those places. where fee structures are quite different from what we are used to. That doesn't mean that we can't use the national footprint. Naturally, we are going to use the national footprint. But we're going to pilot it and we're going to run it. And a lot of these stuff nowadays happens electronically and online. So that's going to be the starting point. But it's going to be a really open process of communication. And I want to invite all the CIBA members to really participate in this and ask the questions, so that we do that. If we're not going to engage and ask questions, you will never know what you might be capable to do or to take on. So that's really the process as such. There's a members interest form. We're going to reply to that. You're going to come back to us, and from there, it's a direct engagement that we do with you as the CIBA member. And you remain the main contact, like we've said as well. You remain the main contact with the client, but that will be the part of the process of discussing and consulting. And to get that point. In the end, naturally, your client has a need for a service, and we with yourselves want to provide that service. How we split a fee and what the involvement is going to be on a case by case will be decided on a case by case basis, because it will always also depend on the expertise. I had a call the other week, last week or so, from one of the CIBA members. They said they wanted to go into business rescue. So I went through the whole process. We've got a business rescue practitioner in our office here. We went through the process, and then they said, well, now, then I'll rather refer it. So I said to her, that's the nice thing about this. Refer it to us. We will make you part of that team, accumulating the information, getting the information, doing some of the accounting, etc. So you will still earn the fee, but you don't have to go through this whole process of registering, getting it up there, paying all the payment fees, running all the risks, having the professional indemnity insurance in place. Abiding by all those rules and regulations. It's not necessary to do that, but you can be part of that team. If you feel that's your direction and you've been part of 3 or 4 business rescue processes and you then still want to pursue getting registered as a business rescue practitioner yourself, so be it. Great. Then it's fine. But I think those are the examples of how we can actually go about improving everybody's lives in this sense. So wherever practical, we will make sure that the CIBA member is part of the team, where they do have the knowledge and the skills to be part of that team, or even in some cases be a junior part of a team to start learning the skills and the knowledge and the information. So there might be some investment. There will definitely be some investment from our side in time, but there might be also from the member side, the CIBA member side, some investment in time to learn specific skills or to be part of a team to be able to service the client. And whatever the fees and the stuff is, that we will determine on a case-by-case basis with the CIBA member to make sure that we communicate well to the client and clearly to the client, but also that it must be a win-win. For everybody. So yeah, that's, I think, a broad background of how we are going to approach that. I don't know if there's any more comments for the moment, or maybe questions on that. We will attend to the questions and answers as well. I think maybe one last comment is that it might sound strange, but there's almost nothing that we can't do. But again, like Nick has clearly indicated, it's not to say that every job that's referred to us will be for us. We for example, got about a month ago, we got a query from a CIBA member, and we clearly set out to her and say we had a whole look and consulting about the whole project, and we actually came to the agreement that it's not going to be worthwhile for us quoting on that. She must rather, I mean, find maybe a smaller audit firm in a small, I mean, close to her, that in that specific case, that might be better suited for that specific job. We will be clear and honest about that as such. We want you to make money out of it, you to develop out of it, and the same applies to us. We also need to, I mean, to naturally make something out of it. But I mean, if we work according to what the strategic alliance is all about, there will be benefit, I mean, large benefits for everybody in this. And that's really the intention, is to really be a combined professional force out there to up-service clients to become, I mean, to grow in themselves.
All right, thanks, Kalom. That is well said, very clear. There was a few questions, both under the chat section as well as the Q&A section. I think quite a few Namibian members is also participating. So does the service, you can just answer, Kalom, is it limited to South Africa? Is it extended to Namibia? And what happens maybe if a member gets an international client? Does the alliance cover all those areas?
Yes, yeah, no, we've actually had engagements with your CIBA representatives in Namibia. You might be aware of that. So me and Tinus, who's head of our audit, we actually already had engagements with them. So it will certainly, I mean, certainly cover that as well. Like you saw in the video, I mean, we're represented in more than 90 countries worldwide. So definitely on the international front, we can definitely help there with on various fronts in all these service lines. So if there's international queries, international tax structuring, international business structuring, transfer pricing, all these things, I mean, we are really geared to do all of that. Again, Mazars Central itself might not be able to do all of that, but I mean, we are now let's call it the project managers on behalf of Mazars, I mean, to facilitate and do that. And we will help coordinate and monitor it, I mean, throughout the whole process. Because we would like this whole thing to succeed. I mean, we're really excited about this, and we would really like it to succeed and to make a difference in CIBA members' lives, but also in clients' lives. I mean, that's really the underlying principle for us.
All right, then another question related to the type of services that can be provided. Is it only limited to schools, or is it all professional services?
Sorry, Nick, just repeat that. You just broke up a bit.
Sorry. So there was a few questions about, during my presentation, I emphasized schools, but the question is, our strategic alliance, is it limited to schools, or is it all professional services?
No, it's all professional services, yeah. Schools will just be like a project line or a service line on its own. But yeah, no, it's definitely all, I mean, everything that you mentioned in that list as well. They're welcome to go to the Strategic Alliance Agreement as well on the website. So it covers all professional services. It's very important, and Nick, you alluded to that. It's very important that the CIBA member who's got the current relationship with the client talks to the client or talks to us sometimes to ask the right questions for that client to know, because sometimes clients don't actually know what they want. So you have to ask the right questions for them to be able to know what they really want. So, or to help identify, so one case that we got now is to help identify the type of risks that there, I mean, that there are. with these things. So it's that's really it really covers everything, but we will look at it each case separately, and you will then quickly find what works easy for you and what for your clients and what doesn't work, and where we can tweak it. And with that, I would like to invite your members, Nick, as well, to come up with suggestions or comments, etc. I mean, this is a new alliance. Please, we're not saying it's perfect and it's going to work exactly the way we see it now, but we have to start somewhere, and this is now somewhere. We have got a lot of work, done a lot of work over the last 2 years. This is where we are. The only way we're going to go forward is start utilizing it, and then we take it from there.
Thank you for that. Let's see if there's any other Q&As that we haven't addressed yet. Members have asked where can they find the Strategic Alliance Agreement. So if you go to the CIBA website and you go to advisory firms, or you can just Google CIBA Strategic Alliance or CIBA Advisory Firms, then you can read the background as well as our agreement. And then I think there was a question about what happens if the CIBA member and Mazars now work on this client for a number of years, and then the client decides, but they want to end the relationship with a smaller firm and rather directly with Mazars. So maybe we can just talk about that as well. But my take on that is that, remember, a client doesn't belong to you, and clients are part of the South African economy, and daily they see advertisements and get into contact with your competitor. So the client can leave in any event, with or without your strategic alliance with Mazars. I think what makes a client stay with you is the relationship we have with the client. You have to be in constant contact with your clients. You have to own their headspace when they think about who am I going to ask for advice. They must know that you are available. And I think that's the biggest protection mechanism that any small firm can deploy, and that is the relationship that they have. And then it's not the intention of Mazars or our strategic alliance, and our agreement makes that clear. Mazars really doesn't, they're a successful firm on their own. So they're not like looking to take over smaller firms, and that's why we're working with Mazars. They're international, they're in 90 countries. So that intention is obviously not with them to take away your clients. They provide services. They see you as a network, as a footprint. You're expanding their reach. So there's no reason for them to have any ulterior motives other than good services, good delivery. And in my engagement with Guillaume, it also became very clear Mazars is committed to South Africa. They're committed to growth. They're committed to upliftment, and that's why we chose them to work with them. Guillaume, you want to add anything?
No, I think I'm just reading through the questions here as well, and thanks for all the support and the good comments as well, and we'll make sure that we answer everybody in the end. But I think, I think really the principle is, let's start using it. Test the alliance agreements. Test us, give us feedback, good or bad. But we are really committed. To this. This is really for me. It's a growth process as well for everybody, and that really is our whole aim behind this thing, is to be able to provide more specialized services to the CIBA members, so that they can actually take on work that they previously couldn't, but with that, binding that client closer to them. Yeah, in time there might be a risk here and there that the client might leave, but if we manage the relationships correctly, that should be very, very limited. And then I can promise you, like Nick has actually said, then your relationship with that client was anyway at risk. Because then they were anyway intent leaving to a bigger firm or to somebody else who can actually deliver that. But if you keep on delivering what you do, and you keep on growing your relationship with the client, that would be a very limited risk as far as I'm concerned.
No, I agree with you. So I think we can start closing now. And what I just want to leave everybody with is, after the presentation, take some time, reflect on the possibilities. Just imagine suddenly you have this amazing reach. You can service clients anywhere in the world via the Strategic Alliance. You can do medium-sized companies, bigger companies. I once met a member, and he was involved in some Standard Bank project to support people that obtain tenders from the Limpopo government to assist them with supply chain management, to make sure that they deliver the services they should. And the fund that he was involved with was up to 100 million rand. So that is the kind of vision I have for this relationship, that you retain your small firm characteristic in the sense of having this relationship with the client, but that you suddenly have this access to 100 million rand client, even bigger, because it's really, really unlimited, and that enhances your competitive ability, enhances the number of clients that you now can add to your portfolio. So I think that should be the focus, and not the fear that you might lose a client. So there's so many more that you now will gain. And Mazars has this amazing reputation, they're international, and now we are very honored for them to be able to support our small and medium practices. So with that, Guillaume, do you just want to say a final words? And just after Guillaume has spoken, we'll play a short hero video that's quite very inspiring. And just after that, we'll just close the event. There won't be any further discussion. So Guillaume, final words from you.
No, I think thank you very much for everybody's time and for the big attendance. We will forward you the email address so that the members' interest form would then be updated with that, so that it comes through a very organized and a structured channel. And from there, please, we would appreciate your feedback. I mean, don't feel bad that if the first one wouldn't work out, whatever the case may be. Remember, it's also going to be, it's a new thing for you as well, to be able to tap into our resources and our abilities. So please communicate with us. Feel free to phone me or to contact us so that we can make this thing work. We really want to see this as a success. It's really important to us and to everybody. Now it's very important to Nick. So yeah, let's go for it, and let's make 2022, I mean, a year to remember in this regard.
All right, thanks everybody. So let's just watch our final closing video.
What do our defining moments look like? Just like this moment right now. They look like pride after achieving that long sought-after goal. All the small victories along the way that didn't feel momentous until we saw them in the rearview mirror. They look like the courage it takes to take that first big step. All the times we fail and rise again. And without even knowing it, cultivating an inner strength that is contagious along the way. They look like the inspiration that comes from knowing that we are not alone. They look like the human relationships that give us wisdom beyond what data ever could. They look like the curiosity that comes from exploring, that allow us to create and contribute. They look like education that unlocks our full potential, using our knowledge for impact. They look like choosing our own definition of success, over hiding, over hustling, over pretending. They look like others showing up and recognizing our efforts after all the times we already showed up for ourselves. They look like being bold enough to be extraordinary. They look like you. Right now, right here. First, we help you see your defining moments. Then we help you seize them. We are the accounting body for everyone. We are the accounting body for you.